Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to Fitness Root Podcast. Today, I have a really special guest with me. She is a Tyre lady. So I know you might be thinking what I'm saying today, but yes, it's true. She is a Tyre lady. She's very, very popular in terms of waste management, and she's protecting her Mother Earth in whatever way she can. And today I'm really happy that she's with us and sharing her thoughts and her ideas, what she has been doing. She started running in 2006, and she's been running till now, and her goal is to cover 100 marathons by 2020, and one of her major goal is to get zero waste marathons. So all the organizers or athletes who run for marathons, she helped and she spread the message of waste management and how we can take our own things and use it, and how we can take care of a Mother Earth. So it gives me really, really pleasure to welcome my friend Rina. Welcome, Rina.
Hello, thank you very much.
So Rima, tell us something about you.
Well, I think if I just explain to the listeners what a Tyre lady is, because what is a Tyre lady?
Yeah, please.
So I drag tires. I drag up to about 15 kilo tires in marathons and ultra marathons. And the aim was to get to 100 marathons by the end of 2020, but I don't think that's going to be possible.
It's okay. In this time, coronavirus time, it's okay. Maybe you can do it one more year again.
Yeah, I might do one more year, or maybe it goes into two years, because we're on very uncertain times at the moment.
Yes.
And so I drag these tires for a couple of reasons. If I first of all tell you why I started to drag the tires, it was because I wanted to go to the North Pole.
Yes.
And to go to the North Pole. Now, I in Singapore, we have no snow. There's a lot of snow. I have to drag a sled of about 60 to 80 kilograms, which has got everything. It's got my home, it's got my food, and anything that I need to survive. So without having a sled to pull, I decided to pull a tire. And folk had shown me, so some of the polar explorers that I tried to communicate with, they said, pull a string of tires. And so that's what I tried to do. But it's very boring. I'm not very good and not very disciplined. As I shared with you earlier, I wake up late, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock is a good time for me. I've only just woken up. So
yeah.
Because my own training is so poor, I decided, I will force myself to drag a tire in a marathon. And the Singapore Marathon, being a large marathon, was a good one for me to do, as it's my home territory. Mm-hmm. I live in England, by the way, so I should clarify that I do live in England.
Yes.
And I work in England. And so this is the first marathon I have ever done in 2006, and I decided to drag a tire, and everybody said, you are absolutely crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's actually what happened and why I started to drag a tire. So in Singapore, because no one has seen anybody, well, especially a woman or a female, doing anything exceptional. It's normally the guys will dress up maybe in a Batman suit, or wear a little tutu or something like that, but not women. Women don't do anything. And when I first started out to drag this tire, people would say, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Are you crazy? I'd say, no, I am doing it because I want to see people reduce their waste. We have so much waste. Waste is dragging us backwards. Okay, so that's, I made it up in my mind because I didn't want to tell people I was training to go to the North Pole.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I hadn't raised the money. I wasn't certain that I was going to go. I didn't know how to ski. There was so many things that I didn't know about. Okay, so there was so much uncertainty. I didn't want to say, I'm going to the North Pole. In fact, I said, I'm dragging for your waste. That's why, because it's something that I'm passionate about. I have hated seeing so much waste, even as a little child. I will tell you, as maybe a 5-6 year old, when you get a present, I used to open up the gift wrap very, very carefully and try not to break the paper. So I was the slowest ever. It would take me about an hour just to open up one present, just so that I could save the paper. I put it aside, and I used to help my mother to wrap other presents. And I used to take this paper to rewrap someone else's present. And my mother would say, no, you shouldn't use old paper. We use new paper. And I hated that. And I kept that paper. You won't believe I kept that paper.
Wow.
So it's been in me for a long time that I don't like to see waste. I want to see a reduction. And now knowing what I now know, I'm so glad that I've gone on this path to try to see our organizations, our societies reduce waste. So in 2006, when I ran the Singapore Marathon, the first thing that I ran for was for Singapore to have household recycling facilities because we didn't have any.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a lovely story that I was not aware that you started running and you said to people that I'm picking up your waste.
Yeah, it was just more about, I'm thinking about your waste. I want you to reduce your waste.
Yeah.
So, but at the time I used to think that recycling was the way forward because it's very convenient. Us as human society, and I think the richer societies, they like convenience. They're not really used to thinking about, wow, if I have to do so many steps to actually reduce my waste, then, maybe there should be an easier way. And recycling is one of those easier ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned in about 2008 that actually recycling wasn't working. 2008, I found that a lot of our recycling was actually going off to China. This is from the UK, from Singapore, in fact, from many, many places, from the USA, from Europe. It was going off to China so our plastic waste and our metal and other types of waste, paper, was going off to China to sort out and to separate for us. So it was a big problem for me because in my head I'm thinking, wow, I thought when I put my recycling in the bin, it's actually been sorted out by the country and it's been processed in the country where I put it. But no, it was actually going off. And then I found that my clothes, if I didn't like my clothes and I put it into the recycle bin, it was going off to India. And then I'm finding out that there are these big mountains of clothing in, for example, like India, and it's causing a lot of pollution. So it was a real problem for me about recycling. And I was so, disillusioned by recycling. And so I started to aim for reduction and reuse, because those are two ways that we can really reduce the amount of waste that we're generating. Waste is a waste of resources. It's not just our waste. It's a waste of our resources that we are destroying. In Singapore, we burn our waste. Okay? We burn it. It means that it's forever. It is destroyed forever. We recycle so little in Singapore. And that's a problem to me. In the UK, our UK statistics are false. For me, they're false because we were sending our recycle abroad. And then, as far as we're concerned, we've recycled. But, we now find out, say we look at China, and China was looking at our plastic bales, and they had maybe about 10% of impurities. It was contaminated. They couldn't use the bale. So they throw away. If I send 200,000 tons of plastic waste to China, 10%, 20,000 tons was waste. So what do they do with it? Now, and what does India do with their waste? What does Indonesia do with our waste? These are places where we're sending our waste to facilitate a recycling method, which isn't working. What do they do with waste that they cannot recycle? Now, I don't know. What's India's recycling like, Kumaj?
So, I'm not too pretty much sure about it, but because I've not been working so hard on the recycling thing and the waste management. But as I said to you, my friend is there who has been working from past 3 years. So I do get some data from him that how is been recycling working and how India is progressing. It's slow. I would not say it's very fast. It's very slow, but I think somewhere people are thinking about it, and few of them, or I would say handful of them, are working on it.
Okay.
I don't have a data.
if I look at the waste management here in the UK or the waste management in Singapore, if I look at it at more the richer countries, they have their waste management is to throw things either into a incinerator or they put it into a landfill, and neither of these are satisfactory. Now, if we send it over to China, they were complaining. There's some statistics that China, India, Indonesia, and I can't remember, it's sort of like Thailand or one of the others, and Philippines. These were the 5 nations that were polluting our waters with plastic, for example. Okay, and I'm looking at these statistics and I'm saying, well, whose plastic is it really? Whose plastic is it really? Is it their plastic or is it our plastic? And I think it's more the richer countries' plastic. And so this bothered me a lot, to find out this information, and to also find out that we have 5 gyres of plastic in our oceans. Okay, and they're as big as, I hear it's as big as Texas, and I'm thinking this is incredible. This is in 2008, and I'm finding out all this information. I said, this is absolutely terrible. We cannot exist in what we think is a normal progression of society. This is not progression. This is backwardness, because our environment is so important to us. If we don't look after our environment will screw us, because we've killed our environment, and if we kill our environment, we kill ourselves.
Yeah, you're right about that. So, Rima, I want to ask you that you have been doing a great work since long. So, how much progress you have got in your projects, and like you're doing by yourself, or you have a team, and how do you motivate your friends or people running around you that you should reduce waste, you should carry your own bottle, you should carry your own cutleries, you should carry your own things? So how do you motivate, or what is your mantra? Like, what is your one thing that people really like about you?
Well, reduce, reuse. Actually, they don't like it about me. I make my friends feel guilty.
Really?
Yeah. So if they invite me to a party and they're not separating out their paper and their whatever, their food waste, they apologize to me and say, we don't have the time. I make them feel guilty, or I'm so sorry, we haven't put our cans to the side, because I know that cans, metal is pretty much about 99% recycled in the world. So whatever we're using now was actually mined before, and so they feel guilty. Nowadays, people come up to me, my friends will come up to me, hey, you guess what? I bring my own bottle I'm bringing my own bottle to the races. Or I have started to bring my own cup to the coffee shop, so people will share things that they are doing with me. My friends do nowadays, because it's now become the norm to start to think about bringing your own bottle, bring your own cup, bring your own cutlery, bring your own bag. These are very simple things. I'll tell you something. When I first used to bring my own cup, that was in 2006, nobody would touch my cup. If I handed it to the restaurant, they wouldn't use it. They would give me a plastic cup. If I was flying and I gave it to the air stewardess, she would not touch it. She would give me a plastic cup, and I hated it. I said, well, I would prefer not to drink if you're going to give me a plastic cup. So things have changed now, because it's a lot more accepted, because I think since 2018, if you remember 2018, China said, we're not accepting plastic anymore. And the whole world said, oh my gosh, what are we going to do with all our plastic waste? We better start telling people to reduce. Yeah, you better start carrying your own thing.
Just to tell you, in India also, the plastic is banned now.
Yeah.
The single-use plastic
are banned.
Yeah, almost everything of plastic is banned now.
Single-use plastic is banned in India.
No, we are just using single-use plastic. Almost, I'm saying the plastic which cannot be reused are being stopped. People pay fine if they use it.
Okay. If I share with you, single-use plastic is a very poor resource to recycle. You can probably recycle it about maybe 6 times. Maybe at the most 6 times, but it downgrades itself. So if you have a plastic bottle, for example, and you recycle it, it can then recycle into maybe a t-shirt. Say your t-shirt that you're wearing. I think that might be, it might be like polyester.
Okay.
It might be some type of plastic material. And then what will you do with that afterwards? If you get a hole in it, if it's worn out, if it's not looking very good, what are you going to do with that t-shirt afterwards?
Maybe I'm going to use it to clean my house.
Okay, and then what are you going to do with it afterwards?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe I usually end up giving it to my mom, and then my mom give it to someone else, or I don't know, she throws it away.
Exactly. Okay, at the end of its life, it's most likely going to be thrown away. If it cannot be used by somebody else, if it cannot be used to because it's so dirty, you are going to throw it away. That is a resource that you have now thrown away. What happens to that resource in India, I don't know. At this moment in time, it's maybe it will go into a landfill,
landfill.
Exactly. But how well are those landfills? And I have to tell you that I studied as a chemical engineer, and I know that there's a lot of stuff that comes out of landfills which is not good for our environment. Plastic leaches out chemicals when it's in a certain environment. When it's got water and everything else, it will leach. Your t-shirt will now start polluting our Mother Earth, unfortunately. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's something that we have grown up thinking, that's pretty good. A plastic bottle has now become a t-shirt. I should go get the t-shirt because I'm helping. But I'm not helping. I'm not helping at all. I need to stop it at the source, not at the mid stage. So if we can get people to start thinking, no more plastic bottles, let's bring our own bottle and refill it with water. Let's bring our own, maybe it's a metal bottle or it's a glass bottle, whatever, but it's something that can be reused. Or maybe it's still a plastic bottle, but you keep reusing that bottle for the rest of its life, which is about 1,000 years.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
yes,
single-use plastic is not a good change.
But
and that's why.
But I'm sorry, but I think still the situation what we had few years back, and if I see now, I think even a small step which my government has taken, I think it is doing at least a bit of thing, right?
It is. I mean, so I know that India, you banned plastic bags, I think in 2018, 2019.
Yes.
And it's been quite a journey for you guys. So I've just been watching what you guys have been doing.
And it was not easy.
Yeah.
It took us time.
You had the plastic bag police that go out, and I think it's been fantastic to enforce that people don't just give away plastic bags as a convenience.
Yeah.
So I think it's been really good, because plastic bags are such a horrible thing in our own environment. Definitely.
Yeah. So Rima, I want to ask you a question related to a marathon, majorly because you run a lot of marathons, and I also, as a runner, I run a lot of marathons nowadays. So how do you approach a marathon organizers, and do they listen to you? And if they listen to you, what facilities or what ideas you give so that organizers listen to you?
Yeah. So I've done 86 marathons. If I just I say 86 marathons plus ultra marathons, so about 15 to 20 ultra marathons. And as a runner, so I have an understanding about the runs. As I was saying, I've participated in runs, I've volunteered in runs, and I've helped to organize runs. So this stands me in a good stead to now start to talk to the organizers, and I say, dear organizer, I would like a couple of special requests. It's a special request. One, would I be able to pull a Tyre in your event? Because I am trying to complete 100 marathons by the end of 2020. The Tyre is about 10 kilos. I have now participated in the, if it's a major marathon, I would tell them all the major marathons that I've participated in: Singapore, New York, London, and many, many other major marathons. Okay, so that's the first thing. If it's a smaller marathon, I will tell them about the trail marathons, because trail marathons, you should respect the nature. And I say I would stick to the path. I'm not going to go off into the bushes. So that's the first thing, is to show them that I am respectful of the nature. I am also respectful of the people. So if there's many people, I know how to look after my own Tyre and make sure that it doesn't trip somebody up, or if it's very crowded, I will actually carry my tire. I don't always drag the tire. The tires are about 10 kilos in a major marathon. And the second thing is, I would like to help you to reduce your waste.
And what is their first reaction? I'm sorry, what is their first reaction when you say that?
Well, first of all, I just say I would like to help you to reduce your waste, because I have now helped XYZ marathons to reduce their waste. And this has been the reaction, you know, for these guys. So for the first marathon was about 2018 to actually go zero waste, no landfill waste, and it was incredible. They couldn't believe. So when they did it, it took me 4 years to actually get them to go and move forward to actually going towards zero waste. That was 2018. And when they had done that, this first marathon called Cheltenham Challenge, they were surprised about how little waste that was generated. So I would say in the past, they had about 2,000 participants, and they would fill up 2 white transit vans with plastic bags of rubbish. That's how much they used to generate. 2 white transit vans of rubbish. In 2018, when they went zero waste, they filled up maybe a small shopping bag, plastic shopping bag of waste, not even that, of runner's waste. And they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe how fast that their tidy up process was. The volunteers were a lot happier. Okay. And, you know, I can tell there's a whole lot of benefits for having gone towards a zero waste methodology. When I write to the marathons, they either say yes or no, by the way. They say, yes, we welcome you to come. You know, and if you do come, now that I've got this background, we'd like you to share what you're doing, because you don't have a lady dragging a tire very often in your marathons. And so with that, I use that to then say, you know, I'm dragging a tire. I'm trying to show you that if I can be bothered to drag a tire in a marathon, then perhaps you could be bothered to actually carry your own cup, your own bottle, your own hydration bag, because this is for our world. This is not just for my running time. And I can tell you, and I look at a lot of the people out there, and I tell them, I could probably run faster than a lot of you guys. I choose not to, because I want to show you guys that we actually have to be far more outward thinking rather than thinking about ourselves. We need to start to think about other people and start to think about our environment, because normal is not normal when it's damaging our environment.
Yeah.
So that really is for me the part that I try to put forward to, you know, the organizers, the participants, the volunteers.
And I think they really appreciate your ideas and your work nowadays, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've done work for people like the Singapore Marathon, Rome Marathon. In fact, I've done quite a bit of work for different marathons around the world. Yeah. Last year, I actually cycled to all the marathons. So if I just put this in perspective, people go, wow, you know, she talks about environmental causes, but she's flying everywhere. Okay. Yeah. Just to put this into perspective, I wasn't just flying for marathons. Okay. I work in IT, and the companies were flying me to different locations to sort out a company's problem. So here I am working. And at this point, you also have to understand that it's kind of accepted for a business to fly over to somewhere.
Yes, okay. Of course. It's essential.
And exactly. But we evolve in our thinking. All right. And last year, I said, I don't really want to travel. I told the company, I don't really want to travel to places anymore, because I cannot stand the fact that I am flying to a location. So when I I used to work in Rome, for example, for IFAD, which is the International Food Agency. Mm-hmm. And so I applied to the Rome Marathon, and I asked them, can I do your marathon, drag a tire? And they got me to do the expo, etc. Okay. But I was working in Rome. When I went to New York and did the New York Marathon, it was because I was working in New York, you know, so I'm not doing these marathons and just flying over to them, having a good time and then coming back. I'm doing them, I'm working, I'm actually spending time in the country. I spend about 2, 3, 4 weeks there, and then I'm coming back. It's not a simple flyover, have fun for a couple of days and come back, which is what has happened now. We've got the running tourism where people just fly to a country. You've got the people trying to do 6 marathons in 6 days on 6 different continents, for example.
Yes. It's the new trend, I would say.
Yeah.
Which has come up.
And for me, to do that, it's a thoughtless thing. It's about how cool am I? I have done, 6 marathons in 6 continents. Great. What I did last year, so I was asked by Geneva Marathon and Trieste if I would actually help out in their sustainability. And, Nice also asked me to help out in their sustainability. And I said, sure. Here's what I'm going to do, though. And I want you guys to support me, and I want you to help me along the way. I'm going to cycle to your events. Okay, so I cycled from the UK to Trieste last year because I was not going to fly. They said, well, in fact, both of Trieste and Geneva said, we will fly you in. I said, you are not going to fly me in. Not if you're going to call me your sustainability ambassador. So I said, I will cycle. And I have to tell you that I hadn't cycled for probably maybe about 20 years. As old as you.
Oh, God.
All right.
Wow.
So about 20 years. And the furthest that I had cycled was maybe 20 miles 1 week before I left. Okay, that was my longest training.
Oh, God.
Now, for me to cycle from the UK to Trieste is about 1,000 miles.
Wow.
1,000 miles. That's about 1,600 kilometers. So I had a lot of adventures, which I'll have to write a book about. At the very beginning, I probably would have given up at some point, but I could have even cried. I might have even cried at one point because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. But anyway, I got to Trieste.
Oh, you went by cycle?
Yeah, I cycled all the way to Trieste.
Oh, God.
Yeah, exactly. And then I cycled from Trieste to Geneva. Yeah, and did their marathon. And then I cycled back from Geneva back to the UK.
Wow.
And yeah, so.
And you traveled solo? You were traveling solo?
Yeah, pretty much, except for 3 days where a friend, she took a train over to see me in Geneva, and then she cycled for 3 days with me from Geneva back to the UK, and then went off back home.
Okay. So, Rima, as you have been to many countries, so how you help the organizers? What ideas do you give to them? For example, if in India we are doing a marathon, because there are a lot of marathons happening. So what if someone wants to get in touch with you, or maybe you want to give them some ideas, or how does it work from your end? How you can give us your ideas and we can apply, or we can do something here.
Yeah. So exactly what you've just done. How you emailed me and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you. And that's what marathon organizers have done. In fact, a couple of marathon organizers came through my Twitter feed. Okay, so I've got a Twitter, Tyre lady, Tyre. And so they came through and asked me to help them out with their organization, Geneva Marathon and Trieste, Muy longa sumas. And Nice came to me via a friend who asked me to come out to France. And he said, you've got to come out to France because you've got to inspire the French people to change their ways. And I laughed at him. I said, I can't even speak French. How am I going to inspire French people to change their ways? And but he was very good. I had a lot of media coverage. I was known in that region. How amazing is this? As a Tyre lady. And so people started to get on board. And in fact, I have to tell you that last year, Nice trialed and they have about 20,000 participants. 20,000 it's about 20 to 25,000 participants. They had half of their water stations. I said, so my thing is about trying to get the participants to take ownership of some of their rubbish, like the cup generation or the bottle generation. Just to share a statistic back to you, London Marathon has about 35,000 participants or 37,000 participants, and they generated about 700,000 to 900,000 bottles, plastic bottles waste. They told me it would be recycled. I looked up where they were recycling it and they were sending it off to China. I said, how do you know that's being recycled? In fact, you've partly contaminated that plastic because you put the label is cannot be recycled. That's contaminated plastic. So I know that Nice Marathon also used to give out bottles. They changed it to cups, and they had partly paper cups and partly plastic cups. And I said, I'm sorry, but if we're looking at the sustainability, paper cups are not more sustainable than plastic cups. Paper cups, in fact, take a lot more resources. You have to grow a tree, you have to process that tree, and it requires a lot of water. And water is really valuable resource in our world. Okay, fresh water. So that is not, as far as I'm concerned, a paper cup is not more sustainable than a plastic cup. A plastic cup is often from a chemical process. It is a waste product of petroleum. That's what plastic is. Okay, it's a waste product of petroleum that you're using to fill up your cars and your aircrafts. So for me, the plastic cup is better as long as you're disposing of it correctly. For example, you are incinerating it. When I went to Nice in 2018, I saw that plastic cups were going into the ocean.
Oh God.
You know, it was terrible for me to see. And I'd say, oh my gosh, okay. Because they were saying, oh, we dispose of it correctly. I said, no, you guys don't understand. The volunteers are having a hard time. They are stressed. 2019, half of their water stations had no cups. They simply asked the participants to bring their own cup. Okay, so half of them. So that's every 5 kilometers. They have water stations at every 2.5 kilometers. So my thing is to try to encourage the organizers to go cupless. And the stations that had no cups, the volunteers were supposed to just pour the water into the volunteers, their own cups, their own bottles, and their own hydration bags. And I said to the organizers, also allow the participants to be able to, maybe they may want to stand and pour their own cup. Okay, so just have some of those around. It kind of worked and it kind of didn't, because some of the participants took the bottles and ran off with them and then left them down the road, partway down the road, half filled, which is didn't kind of work. But for participants who were much more conscious, they really appreciated having the option to be able to just go to a station where they could actually fill their own cup, their own bottle, their own hydration bag. For 99.99% of participants, our time does not actually matter. What do we get at the end of it? I run a marathon in maybe 7 hours. What's your marathon time?
I have done 21 kilometers. I have done a half marathon as of for now. It was 2 hours and I think 8 minutes.
Okay, so for my 26 miles, 26.2 miles, it's been 7 hours. So if yours is 2 hours and something, maybe you run your marathon in about 5 hours.
Yes.
Your medal and your t-shirt is not going to be any more special than my medal and t-shirt. We will get the same.
Yes.
Okay, the only difference is your time, and who does that time matter to? You can tell your family that you got a 2-minute PB. Who cares? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So these are personal things, but if we are going to be better than our personal best, and so when I go to the marathon and I say, yes, I will help you to reduce your waste, and yes, I will get involved with the participants because I know what it is to be a runner. I will also talk to the volunteers because I know what it is to be a volunteer. Okay, and I will also talk to anybody else you want to talk to. So I often talk to schools, and so I will encourage the participants to bring their own bottles. I will encourage the participants to start to think about their waste generation. For the organizers, I ask them, if you're going to give us a t-shirt, and I know you want to give a t-shirt, can you ask the manufacturers to supply it without a plastic bag? Okay, that's already a saving. And plus it's a saving to them. We've got to think about cost. It's a win-win. They have reduced weight of their t-shirts for shipping. A lot of the companies, a lot of the organizers are getting their t-shirts from China. Secondly, can you ask the organizers, the manufacturers to supply the medals without plastic? Because each medal comes individually wrapped in plastic.
Yes.
Let's get rid of all of this so that we are at least not shipping pointless plastic bags around for us participants to look at it, and we would simply dispose of that plastic, or we just toss it away on the floor, or we're not very conscious of what is happening with our own waste. Yeah, you'll see people putting stuff into a full bin. The bin is so full at marathons, and the bin is spilling over, and they will still be trying to put things into that full bin, which is spilling over onto the floor.
Yes. I have personally observed that it's overfilled and people still throw things and it goes out. Even for me, I even do the same. I should not point to any other people because I do that same. I'm part of them.
Right, but I hope that you'll change after this.
Yes, since now I know you so well. I've been reading about you since past 2 days, 3 days, and I'm really sad that what I've done in past, and I cannot change my past, but I can change my present and future.
Exactly. So, and that's what I say. It's about we evolve. So although people say, you flew to all these places, I say, well, I'm evolving, as we are all evolving. So yes, I might have made mistakes when I was younger, but as I become more enlightened, I start to try to change my ways so that I can start to, I want to have a collaboration with our environment. I want to have a collaboration with everybody else so that we start to have a better integration with our animals, with our trees, with just the water and the air. How's the water and air in India at the moment with the lockdown?
Oh, it's beautiful. The air is so fresh, and there's no problem of water supply nowadays. It is very sunny. It is really pleasant. People feel good. The best part of this lockdown, we actually observe birds singing. We actually, we sit outside at balcony, have a tea with family. We listen to birds. They chant. They sing songs. I've never observed those things.
Fantastic. And would you like to keep this after lockdown?
I want to. Yes.
Okay. So we need to actually move quickly, because the corporations will be wanting to have this. There's a couple of things. We start to think about our economy. We start to think about money. We've got to start to think about people who need to make money in order to live. But what if we change that economy? What if our economies can change so that we start to have, rather than our corporates trying to make profit all the time, okay, and I understand profit has to help drive a business, but what if it becomes companies have a purpose for the environment? Okay, so it's not just profit for people, it's profit for the environment. We start to change that way of thinking. Now, we have just made the biggest, boldest step that we have ever done globally, and that is we have said, businesses, you must stop. Right? And if you just remember, I want you to cast your mind back some months before the lockdown, where the countries were saying, for climate change, we have to take baby steps, right? And I say, we're adults. We're adults. We should be taking adult steps. We don't need the baby steps anymore. We've been doing the baby steps for the last 40 years. Be an adult, take responsibility. And that's what we've got to start holding the companies. We need to start holding them to account for so much pollution that we are generating, because we don't want it anymore. You are enjoying the fresh air. I want you to remember this moment in time where you are enjoying the fresh air, the birds that sing so beautifully in the morning and night. How wonderful. And I think that they are singing for the joy of being able to breathe again, for the joy of the environment being able to breathe, and the animals are able to come out and to show themselves to you, because we are now at this point in time respecting our nature. Inadvertently, we are respecting our nature far more. So
yeah, Yeah. So, Rima, I want to ask you, where do you see your work going in future? Like, how long your work has been going, and where do you see your work going in future?
Well, okay, you actually asked me a question before about, how do I collaborate and everything else.
Yes, yes,
I,
please.
I realized at one point in time, so here's me. I want you to think about me, and I'm learning about how the marathons are organized and everything else. And for the first maybe 5-6 years, I was doing it myself. I'd write to organizations. I'd say, can I do this? They'd set me up a little booth in their expo, and I would talk to participants. But I realized I cannot do it myself. It has to be a collaboration. And so in Singapore in 2017, I started to collaborate with others to help me. And so in Singapore, there is now a company, one of the guys, after having done my initiative in 2017, I did this with another lady, and seeing how it went, he decided that he wanted to set up a company in sustainability as well. And I said, fine, if you do that, I will support you, I will help you, I will guide you, I will mentor you. Okay, so for the last 2 years, I have been helping him to do the Sundown Marathon and the Singapore Marathon, whether that's remotely or I've been in Singapore because my family live in Singapore and I've got elderly parents. Okay, so I collaborate as much as I can. In Nice, I said also to them, I can't do everything, but I want to see you guys go forward. In Geneva, the same thing. In fact, they employed someone to be their full-time sustainability person. I said, great, I'm very happy to collaborate and give ideas on how we can move forward. Because the first thing that we also have to understand about being in this business is that we have to have empathy for the organization. We have to have empathy for the participants and empathy for the volunteers. Okay, so empathy is such an important part of it. To be able to collaborate with my guys, they're called Green Nudge in Singapore. You might see them if you do your Singapore Marathon or the Sundown Marathon. And so it's about them understanding how to work with people, and it's also for me to understand how I can help to inspire them to keep moving them forward. Because sustainability, as you may also know, is not something that's very well paid. Definitely in Asia.
Yes.
People think, it should be free. And I'm saying, no, if I am saving you money, that you no longer have to buy bottles and cups anymore, and the sponsor doesn't have to, maybe the sponsor could channel that money somewhere else. So if that is saving you money, and it's saving you money on your cleanup operations, then surely you should be able to give some of that money back to somebody who's helping you. So I'm trying to change the way that's being thought, okay?
Yes.
Because it is unsustainable to keep moving forward. So same thing in India, Umaj, if you want to bring this forward, or you have friends who want to move this forward, I am happy to try to help you guys, to mentor you guys, to create initiatives. So I'm the one who actually creates the initiative, and then you would actually see what those initiatives are. But for me to create those initiatives, I need to understand what the company is doing in the first place. So
Okay.
Does that?
So my listeners, I will be adding Rima's WordPress profile, as well as her website, as well as her email ID. If you guys are listening and in future you want to get in touch with her or know her better, or try her some ideas, please get in touch with her. She might take few days to reply the mail, but she will reply.
I'll tell you, I don't tend to look at my emails on the weekends.
Yeah. Okay.
I try not to look at the computer at all on the weekends, in fact.
Okay, so listeners, please send the emails on weekends so that she can see and she can help you out with her ideas. And also, Rima, tell us something about the fund you are raising, and how if my listeners want to invest or give some money to your charity, tell us something about that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there are a couple of charities that I help out. One is in Singapore, is called Acres. The other one, which is more global, is called Earthwatch.
Earthwatch.
And they look at our sustainability and our impact. on our resources. So they have a bunch of scientists, for example, helping to look at the Amazon forest and seeing how crops can be grown in the Amazon forest. Or one of their biggest cases was when they got a shipping route changed because it was interfering in the Atlantic Ocean with the dolphins and the whales. And in fact, the dolphin and whale population was reducing until they got that shipping route changed because it was interfering with their communication. So so I help out Earthwatch, and I would say probably about 80 to 90% of your funds will go to Earthwatch for their sustainability causes, for their actual charity. The 10% will be for their administration, which is, I think is more typical, which should be typical of charities.
Okay, sure. So I'm definitely supporting you for charity because you have doing such a great job, and
thank you.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you gave us some time to tell us about how sustainable you are, and you are trying to keep all over the world and trying to make marathons waste free, which is the need for our. Also, as we were chatting yesterday about reboot, right? Reboot and restart. So you want to say something about that?
Yeah, at this point in time, this is an opportunity for all marathon organizers to actually restart and reboot the way that they run their operations. If I look at some of the things that they do, okay, so one of the things is going to be social distancing. So if a marathon wants to be able to run, they'll have to start to think about how do they enforce social distancing in a mass participation event. Okay, that's going to be one difficult part. Secondly is about the handling of water. So how do you get it? So a volunteer could be asymptomatic. They could be a carrier of COVID, and they pass you a cup. How do we circumvent that? And here's for me, if you want to circumvent that, ask the participants to bring their own cup, and the volunteers simply just fill up their cups. There is no contact between the two. You've managed your own personal effect. The volunteers have just managed the cups.
Yes.
The water.
The water, yeah.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So, and for food, would be something similar. If you want so in some of the events, we used to have cut oranges and cut bananas and those kind of things. I would again think to ask the participants, and the organizers can give the participants some type of nutrition before they start off. I know this is going to be, wow, I have to carry this. I tell you, your shoes are probably heavier than what you're going to be carrying.
Yes.
So yeah, you can carry a certain amount of nutrition with you, and it should all be fine. I carry all my own food with me. I carry a backpack of water, and that I will fill up sometimes with at the stations.
Yes, and you carry your chopsticks also, right?
No, sometimes I carry chopsticks as well. Yes.
Yeah. I was reading it and I was like, dude, she's crazy.
I gotta tell you, if you're gonna go forward in this world, in this kind of thing, to make a route and a path for others, you have to be crazy.
Yes.
Definitely have to be crazy. I'm hoping that you're putting yourself out there and saying, okay, I want to interview lots of people. I want to, you've got a story yourself, in fact. And, you've put yourself out there because you want to start to inspire people to get more into fitness. But you want them to now go further. And I'm hoping that after this conversation, that you also will want to go further and think, okay, what can I do? Let's see how I can handle myself and handle my own bottle, my own nutrition, and not be dependent on the organizers. And that's the first thing.
Yes, I can assure you for sure that the things which we talked about, and I've been working on fitness and promoting fitness, but now it's the second step, which is sustainable fitness, right?
Yeah. If there's anything that I can help you with, if you wanted to chat about anything else that you want to move forward, I'm really happy to have that conversation.
Sure.
And just to be a soundboard and to say, yeah, Umaj, let's how about trying this with your viewers, with your anybody who is actually following you, as well as with any marathon organizers that have suddenly contacted you and said, Umaj, you are an influencer. Can you come to our marathon and be an influencer? And you say, yeah, sure, but can you do this for me? It's always
Yeah.
a two-way thing.
Yes, yes, yes. I think it's the high time for us to wake up and take care of our Mother Earth now.
Exactly. That's our reboot and our restart. So let's see if we can move forward with our organizations.
Sure.
If you, at this point in time, you can start to contact organizations and say, I understand that you will be dealing with the COVID at the moment. A lot of organizations are struggling with this at the moment. When you do decide to start, I would be interested in helping you to reduce the amount of waste that you guys are generating, because I have a lot of ideas. It won't cost you more money, and in fact, if you can help me and you can support my expenses, then that would be fantastic. Yeah, so that would be the first step, but I would be very happy to help you to move forward with that.
Sure. Yes, thank you so much, Rima, for your time, and I hope my listeners have got the message. Now they have a friend from UK and who is there to help you out whenever you need. So thank you so much, Rima, for coming to our podcast.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Raj, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Cheers.